Yo, what is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. If you're keeping track at home, we've done solo, we've done support, we've done jungle. It is now time for the mid lane guide. And again, let's just jump right in. I'm looking at this warding sigil because a lot of people are coming into my chat and asking me about this item. And I don't want to like continuously kind of talk about it in stream. I want to put this information out there. So if you guys, like maybe I'm not even live and you guys want to be able to ask, this will be a place to figure out kind of all this stuff. Is warding sigil a very good mid lane item? No, I don't think it is. And I think it's the same issue that it has in solo, jungle, support, ADC. I think sigil is just so weak early game that it throws off kind of how strong your character could be. And unless you're like fine, just giving the game until 20, it just is a very bad item IMO. But I feel like I still have to talk about it. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Yes, it was not able to be bought on mages. It is now able to be bought on mages. But the issue with it is it just doesn't give any health. It is just power and protections and then the stats. I think that is a little not great, especially when you compare it to like even Axe. Sigil of the Old Guard, you're reliant on the passive with, I mean, good magical, meh physical, meh power. This one's just solid protections, meh power. Sundering Axe is not great power, not great protections, but it's a much easier to use passive. It is just extra damage based on your protections. Obviously, you're not really ever using this because you're not really buying protections in mid lane. However, it's just both of them have just like pretty clear downsides of why you don't want to build them in mid. But getting to the three main items in mid, I think currently mid lane probably has the most open build path available because I think Vamp Shroud is solid, Conduit is solid, Sands is solid. I think they're all good. I do think Vamp is kind of on that tier below Conduit and Sands, but there's a lot of games where I build Vamp and I'm like, this feels really good to build. Especially Sack Shroud, how much survivability or how much damage you get from it, how much survivability you get from like all those healing items. It is very hard to anti-heal enough if the god is safe enough. Like Anubis, it's easy to anti-heal him because he's standing still. But like a god that can kind of move around, juke, get Bancross Claw, like Hades, stuff like that, it is actually very hard to anti-heal them enough to kill them. Vamp is solid. I'm gonna keep it up here because I think it is good, but I do think it is the worst of the three options. Conduit is basically just a ground to build into Gem of Focus. Archmagus is just a very, 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 very bad option. Probably the worst of all six. I think I would rather have a Blood-Soaked Shroud or a Sack Shroud. Archmagus is very bad. Maybe on Nuwa, if you want to get real fancy, Archmagus can be fine, but even then, I'm not trolling. It is better just to use two abilities and then Gem of Focus just to risk not somebody, you know, getting hit by like your cloak or your cloud of mist before using your ultimate, and then you have no Archmage's value. And then lastly, Sands of Time. Alternate's good. Pendulum is good. Alternate, really good survivability item if you're getting Dove, that extra life. Pendulum, a lot of power, a lot of cooldown. Very little downsides to either of these items. And then getting to the first items, I think there's three that stick out to me right now. Doom Orb, which is my personal favorite right now. I think Doom Orb is incredible. Power, sustain, penetration, movement speed. It is kind of everything you want. And my favorite thing to do, which I don't think it's really that good, but it's just fun, is just going this tier 2 Cursed Orb. It just feels so good out the gate. Book of Thoth, another very good item still. There's no downside to it. It's still good. It just isn't as strong as it used to be. And then Chronos Pendant is a very good first item if you're pairing it with either Vamp Shroud or Conduit. I think Gem of Focus, Chronos Pendant path is very defined, and I think it is very good. But yeah, all very good starting items. So this is mostly focused on mid lane mages. Griffin Wing, not really an item they build. Same with Telkines. Poly is like a Scylla item, kind of, and that's it. I think it's pretty bad, though. Hades item also. Demonic Grip, not really a mid lane item. Pythag is probably one of the worst items in the game because of the solo lane dominance it had. It got nerfed into Oblivion. Soul Gem, I actually think Soul Gem is kind of on the return. I think it is in a decent spot. I don't think it is an auto buy. I think a lot of the times you'd prefer having a Deso for that flat pen and then that passive. But I think Soul Gem, if you need a survivability option somewhere, I think Soul Gem is very, very good at that. Spirit Deso, this is a genuine auto buy item for me. Nearly every game I play mid, it is so insanely broken. Bancross Talon, are you playing Anubis? Answer is yes. Buy it. Actually, I will say, this is something I'll talk about more in the ADC video. Nimble Bancross is an incredible item. Problem is most mid lane gods aren't really building Nimble Bancross, so I can't really point it out that much. And then Bancroft's Claw is fine, but it's just, that means you have to go Bancroft's, and Bancroft's isn't really a great mid lane option. Charon's Coin, I'm a big fan of Charon's Coin right now too. The HP 5 cannot be understated. So 7 HP 5 up to 4 times. This could give you 35 HP 5, which maybe doesn't feel like a lot, but getting 35 health back in poke trades late game every 5 seconds more than the enemy mid laner if they don't have it is actually really good. So I'm a big fan of Charon's Coin. Yes, the damage is slightly lower than Obshard. Killing tanks is a little bit harder. But the utility that Charon's Coin provides, I love. Last Gasp, not good. Divine Rune, do you need anti-heal? Yes, you build the item. If you don't build the item. Rejuve Heart, it's fine on healers that are going to be doing a lot of damage and healing a lot. So like Anubis, maybe Hades. I just think that there's usually a better option, but the survivability you get from this item cannot be sold short. It's a very good survivability option. Spear the Magus, it's basically just a combo with Typhons. If you build Typhons, Spear the Magus gets a lot more value because you're getting that extra power from the lifesteal from this for the Typhons. Outside of that, I don't think it's very good. Book of Thoth, already talked about it. Very good item still. Curse Weaver, this is a solo lane item. I think it is horrible in mid lane. You're getting procs of like 150 once every 12 seconds, and then you're getting a one shot. It's just not good in mid. Gem of Iso, if you need a survivability option and they have a lot of anti-heal already, low-key Gem of Iso is very good if you have like a little bit of tick. Like if you have a Raijin and you have your 2 or your 1, if you're playing something like Cuckoo with your 3, actually Cuckoo's probably a bad one. Try to think of mid laners that have a little bit of tick. Opwash, it is actually a lot of survivability in this item. And it's not bad for damage. Like 65 power isn't great, yes. There's no pen on it. But if your character kind of just does a lot of damage and you're really not worried about how much damage you're doing, you're more worried about living, and they have a lot of anti-heal, Gem fits that niche. But that is a very niche. So maybe it's too niche, but I'm kind of a fan of it. Obshard, it's less power than Charon's Coin by 10, but you eviscerate tanks with this item. Warlock Staff, I have never seen this item built. I'll say it. Unless I'm building it, we'll ignore me building this item because I'm a fiend for building bad items. This item is just bad. Tablet of Destinies, I am of the current opinion that Tablet of Destinies is a horrible item. It kind of comes and goes really quickly depending on the mid lane build. And I think Benny usually has really good opinions on Tablet of Destinies, and I'm pretty sure right now he is not the biggest fan. He does build it sometimes, and I think sometimes it can be okay. But I think the base mage build is just better. Mirrodin, phenomenal item. Even if your character doesn't use it that well, it's still great. Cyclopean Ring, auto attack item. Rod of Asclepius, bad item. Chronos Pendant, good first item and can actually be a decent second item too. Like a Doom Orb into Chronos Pendant is a lot of cooldown. I would still just prefer Doom Orb into Deso, but I think there is a niche for Chronos Pendant. Ethereal Staff, solid item, period. Not great, not horrible, all around solid. A little bit of survivability. Some decent like poke trade potential. Like if you're playing a solo laner and you're playing against the enemy mid who's got Ethereal Staff, feels a lot harder to kill them, and it also feels like you're a lot squishier just because they're stealing this health from you that you can never get back in that fight, which feels very, very bad to play against. Hasten Ring, auto attacker, build it. Actually, if you're Freya, build it. If you're not Freya, probably don't build it. Typhon's Fang, insane item if you're building one other magical lifesteal item. If you're building 0 magical lifesteal items and you're just getting the red buff augment, I still think it's not worth it. I think you need to build actually one lifesteal item on top of this one, whether it's Soul Gem, Magus, Bancroft. Even if you really wanted to go Pythags, it could be, I mean, then you're building Pythags, but that would make Typhons good, but you need one more lifesteal item option with it. Reaver, every game it should be bought unless you're playing against like a Chrono solo. Doom Orb, already talked about it. Bauble, worst item in the game. Erotic Tahuti, it's usually just the worst 10% option with Mirrodin. Like Mirrodin is 300 gold less, it's slightly less power, but it's so much damage after you ult. And Rod is like a decent amount of damage when they're below 60% health, where usually you're going to be kind of killing or not killing anyway. If you're going for like 40% cooldown, you're going like Charon's, Mirrodin, Rod, and Reaver. I think Rod is really good, but I think that's like the one scenario. And then some survivability options. Breastplate with Book is very good. Mantle, if you're getting Dove, I still think has a bit of a niche. There's not a ton of protection items being built. Usually if you want a protection item, you're just going for the alternate timeline. And then a pretty easy to go build for most gods right now. Sands into Doom Orb. Then just going Pendulum, Doom Orb, Deso, Charon's, Reaver, and Mirrodin. Puts you at 40% cooldown. Gives you a little bit of, actually a lot of damage, but not a ton of survivability. So you just have to play a little bit safer with your positioning, but you do so much damage with this build. And yeah, pretty easy build to be building on most gods. Obviously, it's not going to be best every game, but just something you could do if you don't want to kind of think of your own builds. That's the mid lane build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.